Adventures with Dice. Welcome back to Adventures with Dice. I'm Rob, and I'm your host for these videos. And it's been a minute since I put one up. We're in the summer of 2024 when I'm recording this, and summertime is just always hard. It's always busy. There's so much going on. As some of you who follow the channel know, I'm dealing with a loved one that is reaching the end of their life. They're in a hospice. So there's been dealing with that, and I've taken on a lot of extra responsibilities at church, and there's a lot that I'm doing there for different mission fields and things and outreach programs, which takes up a lot of time. And then also trying to do these videos. There's the time that goes into actually playing the games, to talk about the games, reading the games, so on and so forth. But there is also the fact that, I don't know, there's just only so many hours in the day. So trying to get things out, summertime's always slow for me. But this video is not, as you can tell if you watch it when it first goes up, this is not an early release video for the members. This is just a video for everybody. There's not a ton of content here. I'm going to be talking about the games that I'm currently reading and playing and prepping for, and my thoughts on them a little bit. There's plenty of other stuff coming. There's a lot of research and planning that goes into these videos. Like I know a lot of people know that. I've been sent a lot of product from Free League that I need to go through and do some videos on, and all that's coming. So those will be early access videos that members will get. So if you can join the membership thing, it's in the description if you want to get early access, or just wait for them to come out. So what have I been up to gaming wise? Well, there's been a bit more gaming lately than there has in the past. For a long time, I used to run a lot of game nights, but again, being involved in church so much as my family is, it kind of cut down on the game nights. And I do have one game night that everybody knows about, and then I have another game night that not too many people know about. We're going to talk about that a little bit in this too. So I will address one concern that I've seen a couple of people say in comments about me being into so many different kinds of games, and I love this game and that game. Well, first of all, I try not to do videos on games that I don't care for. I do give honest reviews. If I'm reviewing a game and I don't like what I see, or there are things about it I don't like, I do talk about that. But I don't just sit and try to give negative reviews. I don't like that. So that, and I have good taste in games. So what can I say? I pick games, they're good, I play them. I like variety. I like a lot of different types of games. All three of the games that we're going to be talking about tonight, or this evening while I'm recording this, are fantasy games. But each one is very different in their context and rules and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, I've done some videos on this recently, is the Dungeons and Dragons Rules Cyclopedia from '91. This is basic D&D, BECME D&D. This was put out in 1991. This is a reprint, not my original, but it's the D&D I cut my teeth on. And, I chased several of these OSR games over the past few years, and nothing against them, because they're fantastic games in their own right. Basic Fantasy, White Box, Old Swords Reign. They're just games I still love. I still have them on my shelf. I'm just not currently playing them, because I was reading through the PDF of this one day, and I don't know, like I said in another video, it just kind of spawned the concept of, I'm trying to recapture this feel by playing these OSR games. Why not just play the original D&D? So I started putting things together to run an original D&D game, and it has been phenomenal. We have had a blast with it. It's my Tuesday night game. my wife plays, all three of my kids play, my friend Jason plays, and we love it. It is great. We're using, for rules, we're using just the rule cyclopedia. There's not too many house rules that I incorporated into it. But this is, you can get this off Drive-Thru RPG, I think for like 20 or 30 bucks, something like that. And it's a really good copy. I mean, it's a very clean copy. I really like it. I've, of course, got mine tabbed out so that I can find everything at a glance. Now, that being said, I remember playing basic D&D back in the day and in the 80s, and it was hard to wrap my mind around some of the concepts because this was the first game of this type. We had not had big role-playing games before D&D. It was the granddaddy of them all. So we were trying things out, learning things, and getting a lot of stuff wrong, I'm sure. But there were concepts, like THAC0 was a concept that was just, back in the day, it was hard to wrap my mind around it. But I've played so many games over the years that I now realize it's very, very easy. And I'm playing with young teens to young adults to older adults all in one group. And I explained it one time. We went through it and they've had no problem with it whatsoever. And I think that has to do probably with their already being exposed to a lot of games before they came to this. But like my younger kids, they understood THAC0 right away, jumped right on it, and they're playing and we're having a blast. It's the most fun I've had playing fantasy in quite some time. We've only had one player die, our character, not player, character die in our campaign so far, and that was the halfling, and my oldest son came back and replaced him with a monk. Mystic. It's Mystic. It's their version of the monk, I guess. Kind of monk slash ninja, but it's a really powerful, really fun character. And I don't know, we just they've been beat down pretty bad in some of the fights. And my son Roger, he's my middle son. He's a teenager. He's 15, but he plays a cleric. And he plays the greediest cleric I've ever seen. So we joke that his god must be Midas. That's who he serves. But all that aside, we just have a really good time with it. Now, the flip side of that too is after reading and running all these games for, I don't know, 35, 40 years, something like that, I am now running this. And while it is functional and my kids have had no problems learning to play it, I can see the advances that we have made in game theory and game mechanics over the last 30 years, because some of the concepts in this about how rules should work, I look at them and I'm like, that is very archaic. It's not very intuitive. And it's not everything. There's just a few things that the encumbrance system is really weird. I understand how it works, but it's just weird to me that they chose to do it the way they did instead of things being based off of a weight. They're based off of their weight in coins. Everything is. You, animals, gear, weapons, everything. And depending on your character, your weight, how much coinage or CN you have, depends on how fast you can move and so on and so forth. It's an odd system to use, and I think this kind of is another one of those things that kind of trickled over from the wargaming roots of D&D into the role-playing game. There's some little things like that throughout the game that just, as I look at them, I'm like, well, I can see why this is done better in modern games. Now, that being said, I'm not taking anything away from this. I absolutely love this. My son got me this for my birthday this year, and I've had a blast running this game. They're having a blast playing it, and they're getting to play the D&D that I grew up with. Now, we know we're not going to play this for years. We're going to play through this campaign now that they're finally on a story, because they've pretty much just been looting dungeons at this point. But now they're finally on a story and decided to work for a bad guy. But that's a whole nother video. But anyway, we're having a blast with it. But I do see the improvements that were made in more modern games. So anyway, this is going to continue to run on my Tuesday night game until we conclude that story, or all the player characters die, at which point we'll probably just move on to the next game that I'm going to be running on Tuesday nights. Now, that's an every Tuesday night game that we play Dungeons and Dragons from the Rules Cyclopedia. So absolutely love that. That's what I've spent a lot of time on lately. The next thing that I've spent a lot of time on is, and this is kind of funny. I want to do a video on how this conversation about this gaming group came together, but I'm gonna make sure it's okay with some people that I tell that story before I do it. So that being said, I have a game that is like every 2 weeks on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on what night we have available. And in that gaming group, we're playing Dragonbane, another fantasy game. Obviously, much more modern. It has its roots in, 40 years ago, Swedish. I can't even pronounce the original game, what it was called, but it translated roughly to Dragons and Demons, or Demons and Dragons or something. But Dragonbane is the most updated version of that. I've done some videos on this already. I've done some solo play videos. I'm actually playing solo myself now off camera, but that campaign that I'm doing with that is just for me. It's not something I'm filming, and I'm using the rules for the fortune chart from the End of the Breach stuff, but I'm playing it with multiple characters and using the adventure creation stuff out of here for random creation to design adventures for my characters to go on. And that's been a lot of fun so far. And FYI, I'll get into this more in another video. Bears are deadly. Bears, that's right. Just bears. Be careful if you encounter them in Dragonbane. So Dragonbane is my every other Thursday game. This week, being 4th of July, Thursday we're going to be busy, so Wednesday is when we're playing. We don't have church that night. So we're going to be playing Dragonbane that Wednesday. Now, this is an interesting group that I play this with, because I play this with my two youngest kids, my son and my daughter. And I also play this with my pastor and his 3 sons. And we are having a great time with this. He's loving it. We're loving it. We're having a good time. They're gonna be walking into an ambush Wednesday night, so that ought to be a lot of fun. But I've also done 3D printed their miniatures and painted everything, and I'd show them off on here, but I already gave them to them, so maybe I can grab them and take some pictures to throw up in another video. But this is a much more modern game, and it's much more rules. It's not nearly as crunchy as old D&D. It's a very good beginner game, and as they are all beginners, it's a good game to teach them about role-playing and teach them about role-playing games. So that's working out pretty well. They're loving it. They're having a blast. My pastor's playing a mallard, and he is he does like the duck voice and everything when he plays. It's hilarious. We're having a great time with it. So I'm loving this. I do love the game. It is a little on the simpler side. So if you're looking for more crunch, more detail, you probably want something a little heftier than this. I think Forbidden Lands is probably a little heftier than this on the crunch, but everything in this works. Like I haven't run across anything in this that doesn't work. It's got great character options, great character creation, great optimization with characters. It has fantastic adventure building tools in here and solo tools. It's just a really, really, really good game. I really love Dragonbane. So that's my other game that not a lot of people know about. Now, my other game that I'm currently reading like a madman and making characters for, because that's the best way to learn a system, in my opinion, to grab a book and read up on it and start making characters to see how they work. This game is coming after the D&D game ends. So when that game ends, this is what we're going to be playing on Tuesday nights. And my group is very excited for it, especially Jason. Jason and I could sit and talk about this game for hours. And it's just really good. I'm going to do some videos on this to show off the book and the box set that I have here, and that is Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Now, this is the new one. I think it's 4th edition. It's Cubicle 7. But, again, you can see my obsession with tabbing books out. But I have the core book and the starter set, and the DM screen or GM screen is on its way. And I'm not going to open this up and do an unboxing of it right now, but I am going to go through the contents of this, because I think if you're getting into Warhammer Fantasy, the starter set is a fantastic buy-in point. It's a great starter set. Comes with some great stuff that you're going to be using long after you've moved on from the starter set to the main rule book. There's also some free adventures. A great adventure that comes in here, but then there's some other ones that are free on DriveThruRPG that you can download that are good starter adventures too. And so you could take the pre-made characters in this and play through those. Anyway, I love Warhammer. I love Warhammer 40K. I love Warhammer Fantasy. I like Age of Sigmar. I guess if I was going to play the miniature game, I like Age of Sigmar the best of those. But lore-wise, I don't really care for Age of Sigmar. It's just weird to me. I never got into this back in the 1st edition that everybody loves so much. And I have a scan of the 1st edition book, but I don't have an actual copy of the 1st edition book. But everybody says this is really good. I've been reading it, making characters for it. It is fantastic fun. It is a bit crunchier than Dragonbane, but I feel like it's not as crunchy as old school D&D. And old school D&D is not really all that crunchy. It's just when you add all the stuff into the rules compendium, it can get that way. But this is probably, I don't know, probably hands down the crunchiest of the three, if I had to be honest. Like, the Dragonbane is smooth, and it smooths off the edges of basic D&D. And this is built around differences. This is built around a percentile system for the most part, or actually all of it. But it's a really, really good system. Now, it's a bit crunchy, and that's one reason you'll notice the tabs in the book, because I got to be able to make sure I can find stuff when I'm running the game. But this is coming. This is something we are very excited for. Me and Jason both love the old world from Warhammer. I love the lore they've had. I never got into playing this earlier, like I said, because when it came out, when 1st edition was out, 1st and 2nd edition, I never had friends that were into it. Even my friends that were Warhammer guys were playing D&D. And I remember one of them, he actually worked for Games Workshop. And we were sitting in the shop one night talking, and he was like, well, yeah, they got Warhammer Fantasy, but why do I need that if I already got D&D? I said, fair enough. So we never played it. Now, I never got to really experience this. Now, the rule book was sent to me by DM James. A bunch of y'all know who that is. And I thank him for that, because I did want to pick this up. It's a fantastic book. He doesn't care for the art as much in it, but I love the art in it. And then I picked up the starter set afterwards, and I'm really glad I did, because the stuff in the starter set just really goes hand in hand with this, and it gives you a lot of really great information. So I'm super excited to run this. Not so excited that I'm just going to kill them off in D&D to get to this. I'm taking my time with it. And we're going to play through the starter adventure with the pre-made characters in this box set, through the adventure that comes in it, and one, if not two more adventures, just so everybody gets a good feel, good understanding of how the game works, how the stuff on the character sheet works, before we sit down and have a night where they roll up and make their own characters. because it's not like D&D. It's a different system than D&D, and it's a system that my younger players have not played. They haven't played, very many percentile systems at all. My older players are used to it from like Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that, but my younger players are not. So I'm going to make sure they understand the system real well, and then we're going to dive into character creation. And like I said, I'm looking very forward to running this. I got the screen on the way. If it goes off and everybody wants to go deeper into it, me and Jason have talked about getting the Enemy Within campaign and starting to play that. But it's like 5 books, and each book has a companion book, and so it's like 10 books. I mean, it's going to be an investment, but it's not an investment that we have to make all at one time. Like he pointed out, we just get one book, and then we can wait and get the other one when we get closer to the end of the first book. So that's a good point. I don't know, it's just, this is the stuff that I've been playing. I'm running Dragonbane, I'm running D&D, and right now I'm reading tons of Warhammer Fantasy. I'm just staying in this book. I've been rolling up characters just for the fun of it and having a great time with that. So I cannot wait to dig deeper into this. And there's plenty of other stuff coming down the line too. Like Free League sent me a bunch of Forbidden Land stuff that I want to go through on the channel. They sent me a bunch of the One Ring stuff that I'm going to do some videos on. Originally they sent me the newest Alien book, Building Better Worlds, and it got lost in the mail. And they just sent me a replacement because the first one never came. I only got the PDF for it. So they sent me a replacement, and it just came in over the weekend, and it's a beautiful book. It's probably one of the best. I actually like it better than the Colonial Marines book they did. I see more, I guess, campaign opportunities with doing that. So that's currently what I have going on. I'm hoping to be able to film. I'm recording. I don't know why I say film, because I'm old. That's why I say it. All right. I'm hoping to be able to film a video tomorrow. I do have the first half of the day off tomorrow, or don't currently have anything planned. So maybe I will start taking a look at because I've done videos on Dragonbane, and I've done videos on D&D, Beck Me D&D. So maybe we'll start taking a look at the Warhammer Fantasy tomorrow. That's something that I'm also really into, and I want to go through it. I also have my son got me for Christmas the Wrath and Glory, starter set, and it looks really cool. Completely different system than this, though. Not the same kind of system. It's a D6 dice pool system, I think. But that's all we have for it is just the starter set. So we're probably going to play through that at some point, but I don't know. It's on down the line. I don't have as many game nights as I used to, so I can't run as many games as I used to. But that's okay. We'll get to them when we get to them. I'm going to continue putting up videos as fast as I can put them up. I'm just, like I said, summertime is a really weird time for me. There's so much going on. We stay very involved in our church, and there's always something going on that we're involved in. That takes up time, and then a lot of my free time I'm going and visiting a family member who's very sick, and I'm thankful that God has granted me the time to be able to spend with her before she passes, because I wasted a lot of time. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. That's what's going on right now. This is really just kind of a rambling video, me talking about what I'm into right now. I didn't want anybody to think I dropped off the face of the earth. There's still stuff going on, but sometimes I have to read and do stuff with it before I can make content about it. Otherwise, I can just be like, hey, look, pretty book. So I guess I could do that, but that's not really fun to watch. And I want to make videos that are kind of fun to watch, or fun for me to watch anyway. That's the kind of videos I make. I ain't exactly getting rich at this, so I'm just having fun with it, Well, that's all I've got for right now. Hopefully, I will have an early access video coming out tomorrow for the members. I'm thinking I'm going to do Warhammer Fantasy, but, who knows? Things could change by tomorrow morning, and I could pick something else. But anyway, that's my game plan, is that's what I'm going to do tomorrow morning. If nothing goes awry, I will be getting that video made, and it will be up for members for, I don't know, an amount of time before it goes live to everybody. So that's all I got for right now. If you hung around this long, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time to click on the video. Good gaming and good luck.